Hey guys, so welcome to the third episode of I Inspire. I am Pam Salola, the ACS president of Loughborough University for 2020 to 2021. We are here, we are blessed, we are honored here today with Cambridge ACS president, Sharon. Come on, introduce yourself.
Hello guys, hi, my name's Sharon. I'm a second year at Cambridge University. I study history and Spanish, and I am the ACS president for this year. And I'm really happy to be on here. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited to do this conversation, to be honest. Oh my gosh. I feel like we're gonna hit some heavy topics, but in a way that's like
and I hope some people get triggered as well, so that you know, shake up and readjust. But anyway, we are gonna be covering the topic called filtering out the noise, hashtag or bracket or apostrophe, what's this, speech marks, imposter syndrome. What's your understanding of imposter syndrome first?
It's one of those things I think you are prepared for. It's one of those things, I don't think I had a name for it, but I think ever since kind of entering into the education system, like ever since I've got here, my mum's always kind of been the one to tell me, just people around me tell me, you're going to have to, there's a level that you're going to have to bring to the table everywhere you go and everything you do. And I never had a name for it. So I was always kind of like, how I interpreted that was like, I might not be fit for certain spaces. I might not be good in certain spaces. So I need to be constantly leveling up. If not, I'm going to drown. And then I realized that fear of drowning is actually imposter syndrome. It's like that feeling of like, you just feel like your skills, your ability, who you are just doesn't fit this frame or this narrative. And I think that kind of word, or that little phrase really hit me when I got into Cambridge. And I think I really like how you've kind of phrased it with like, you've kind of done a little like juxtaposition with like filtering out the noise, which I think is a lot to do with how to solve imposter syndrome, but then also imposter syndrome is like the issue. And I think it's something that all young people, even adults, just go through. And on one hand, I think it's kind of positive because it's showing that you're about to enter into something new, and you're about to like enter into a place that is kind of the unknown. It's a place where you're going to have to battle it out, and it's just kind of that awe of knowing that I know I'm supposed to be here, though everything around me is saying that I'm not.
For me, I feel like coming to Loughborough made me feel this sense of imposter syndrome. Not even the university environment, more so when we went to other events with other universities, because I noticed like, obviously, like we're like the new kids on the block. Like Loughborough students, like when it comes to like top uni type combo, like Loughborough's like the new kids on the block. So people are still like, I'm not too sure about you yet. So when we go to events with other universities, you get that vibe. Like I remember I went to one event last year when I was in first year, and they were like, Loughborough was my insurance, but here I am in their top uni, other top uni. I was like, swear down, say nothing.
I don't think I've ever heard that though. That's really insane.
Really? For Loughborough?
No, I've always kind of heard that it's kind of within that league, but it's really interesting how it's something that students from other unis are kind of projecting that onto you, onto like Loughborough students, and you guys are obviously like thriving there. So it's really funny how people that don't even go there are like projecting that level of like, they're making you feel imposter syndrome that didn't need to be felt. That's really mad. Word.
That's crazy. So like in relation to Cambridge, because Cambridge, like I think when it comes to things about racism, like Cambridge is like, when you think of it, it's straight Cambridge and Oxford, make like Durham, like all these other universities. Do you feel like, I don't know if you can put imposter syndrome in the same context as racial profiling within university campus, but do you feel like that adds maybe to the feeling of imposter syndrome? Like, am I meant to be here?
The thing with places like Oxford, it's the case that in terms of how many Black students there are, for example, or how diverse it is, it's not as bad as other universities. Like just like nationally speaking, if you look at certain universities, the percentage of kind of the intake of Black students is a lot lower. So although ours is incredibly low, like I'm not even trying to, like, it's very low. I think where the issue mainly lies is the lack of kind of ethnic diversity in that sense, but also the level of kind of tradition, elitism. There's kind of all these different, the Oxbridge experience is very particular in that way. And in the fact that it's particular, it's also made for a particular student. So that's a lot of the narrative that's been fed. Like, it's very small things, I think, that people don't even, for example, educationally, for example, I think people that tend to go to kind of top private schools, it's not even the case of them getting the grades to get in. Like, we've all got the grades to get in, but it's this kind of the way in which they've been educated, the way that they've been kind of taught to reason, to argue, to display, you know, to like analyze arguments, and to just display critical, like, there's all these skills that, not to say that we don't have it, but they've really been taught to flesh it out in a very Oxbridge style from 6, 7, 8, like, you know what I mean, and we're kind of catching up in that sense. And I think our education system is very like, just get the grades, get in. And then even just like culturally, socially, it's a very kind of, it's just a very particular experience. We've got like these huge formal dinners, and there's prayers in Latin at the beginning of them, and then there's, you know, the masters, and there's this, and you have to wear gowns, and you have to use certain cutlery for this. Like, it's just a very, it's a whole world within itself. And there's people who have been raised to fight and to be able to live comfortably in that world, and then there's a lot of us that haven't. And so where the imposter syndrome lies a lot is just the minute you enter there's not really kind of a set way that, of course, the uni like wants you all to be there and wants you all to kind of thrive, but there's this level of, there are kind of these unspoken rules of how to be and how to act and how to do this and how to do that. And it's like, calm, okay, I got the grades, you guys said I could go, but when I'm here, I'm like, that the first time I remember that really clearly, just kind of being like, wow, okay.
I don't know, I don't think I felt that feeling of imposter syndrome, because I feel like the feeling of imposter syndrome comes when other people make you feel uncomfortable, or like there's little side glances. Like, in those environments where, let's say, I am the minority, I'm still welcomed, if that makes sense, like in laugh, in your work experience, and whatever the case may be. But is it very different in Cambridge?
It's not like anyone's gone out of their way to make me feel like that, but I just find how I found that whole imposter syndrome experience was a lot, especially socially, because it's like, I've come from somewhere worlds apart from like the people around me. So especially in my, I don't know if you, like, in Cambridge you've got like college systems, so each college has their own like culture, their own kind of intake of students, their own way of running things. And so in my college, it's like heavy private school intake, like very, very white. And so it was very much like, I just remember going to like these formal dinners, and I'm just sitting there, and it's like, there's one person saying like, yeah, I spent all my life in like living in Guatemala and living here and living there. Then someone else said like, my great granddad and my granddad went to Oxford, and then he went to Cambridge. And then and this person said, yeah, my dad owns a bank. And then there's this person saying, and it's like,
bank.
As in the life, like in some respect, like, it's really interesting to be around people from different areas. But then there's a way that I felt like my identity really violently did not fit in this thing, and I felt myself just kind of going like, oh right, like, that's so interesting. Like, doing the, like, the little fake laugh and the like, yeah. But I couldn't, and it's not that no one made me feel like that, but I just felt like I don't know how do I explain, like, oh, I just grew up like just covered like council housing, single parent house, or like just easy, like state school, very, very kind of normal upbringing. And I was like, how does my story in this thing? And then I think where that got bad was where it started to sort of translate into academics, because I also remember this one time we were meant to like read this book before we got there, so we all had read it and we went to have like a discussion with the other historians, and the way that it was just so like, it was heavy, like the way everybody knew everything there was to know. Like, I'd read the book, I just felt like these people would just have this infinite amount of knowledge that is so beyond my reach, and I feel like I don't have the facilities to get to the stage there. I don't talk like how I don't articulate I can't speak so confidently in front of these world-class academics. What is my future saying? Like this, like, and it was very hard to be like calm, and even explaining that to other people, because you're telling these academics like, you fought to be here, but then I'm like, I don't feel like I should be here, and it's very, even if you like, there's an element of humiliation that you can kind of put on yourself relating to like
really
imposter syndrome. Yeah, very much, because it's it's a lot. It's just a lot to deal with on top of just being a normal uni student, and then it's like other things. Yeah.
So how do you like overcome that then?
I feel like there was a level of like that I really had to humble myself. Like a lot of it was obviously insecurity, and a lot of it was like me projecting a lot of like, I can't do this, I can't do this. But then I just had like a talk with myself, with my mom, with like my friends, with God. I was just like, I just, this is too much. And it just very much got to the point where it was like, you're here now. Like there is nothing you can do to change the circumstances. This is what you had envisioned for yourself. Whether it was, for me, it was Cambridge. For other people, for you, it was Loughborough. For someone else, it was Kent. For someone else, it was to do an apprenticeship. I don't know, whatever that was. But it was a case of, at one point in my life, this is what I had aspired towards, and now I'm here, and there must be a reason why I'm here. And so for me to just get caught up in like, oh, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do that, it's very like sort of narrow-minded of me. Like, of course it was like good for me to have kind of grace on myself and be like, it's fine that you feel like this. But it got to the point like by the end of the term I was just like, you're going to really pigeonhole yourself, and you're going to waste this whole experience if you're not able to just kind of just see this as like rather than seeing, let's say if I'm in a room and feeling like, because I'm an imposter, there's this whole emptiness in this room and everyone else has this amazing full room, rather than seeing it as like emptiness and like just nothing, just see it as like just room for you to expand and to grow. So yeah, maybe you don't feel like you're like how everyone else is, but just use it as just the opportunity to just grow, to just present yourself, create yourself how you need to be. Give yourself, I'm in a 4-year course, so give yourself these 4 years to just take over this room however you feel like best. And it's just the idea of what you were saying as well, like there's people coming behind you, there's people that are literally looking at like, wow, the same way I had looked at people in the year above me to be like, wow. And I feel like the longer I would end up dwelling in like imposter syndrome, it would just eat me up, and it would just really take away from what I needed to gain from this place, but then also what other people need to see so that they can also like do what they need to do here as well. I don't know, how was it for you in terms of, even if you never really felt like direct imposter syndrome, was there ever a period where you felt like there was like a turning point?
I think first year was more about maturing my mind. As in, I didn't grasp the concept of independence. This has nothing to do with imposter syndrome or whatever, but like clearing out the noise. I was clearing out the chatter of childish thoughts, childish behavior. I have to do my own shopping, my own cooking, my own cleaning, my own this, my own that. Like I was clearing that out, and I was having a hard time figuring out what that meant. I think that was my turning point. And another one of my turning points was like, this is not sixth form, this is not secondary school where they give you the information or tell you what websites to go on, because I was struggling content-wise in terms of, because I didn't do maths A-level, and I'm doing economics, like business economics and finance. Maths, do you know what I'm saying? So I came in thinking, you know what, like I could pattern this math. What are you doing, maths? What's that? I was in for a big shock. I can tell you that much. So like I feel like I had to mature quickly. I feel like I had to filter out the noise of, oh my days, I can't do this, oh my gosh, and in that sense I feel like I could have felt imposter syndrome, because when you're doing group work, for example, I got the opportunity to see my group work my group members like CVs, and I was seeing some of these grades and I was like, well damn, okay. Do you know what I'm saying? Like seeing 4 A stars, I'm like, I claim it for my children in Jesus' name. But you know what I'm saying? Like I was just seeing that, and I feel like comparison definitely plays a part when it comes to imposter syndrome. In fact, let's even touch on that. I bind the spirit of comparison now. Amen.
Joy completely. Like it's the worst. It is the worst. Like, and I think that that's something that kind of you are warned about, especially when you go to like places like Cambridge, I guess, or just even uni in general, where because you've come from obviously a community. Some people have like stayed within their school for 7 years, like you know kind of the system, you know who's good at what, you know where everyone's talents are, where you kind of fit, how you need to grow. There's this kind of like set structure, and then now you're thrown into this place where you've got international students, you've got the top students from every single school across the country, and it just makes you feel so small in that sense. And you look around it like, yeah, it's just every instance I found myself, especially the first couple of weeks, like every instance I was going to, it was like, but how are you doing this? Or like, how can you, even with Spanish, that was a really good example. And even now I'm doing like a Portuguese paper. So we're meant to do this from scratch, we were meant to have very, very small prior knowledge. Some people in the class, in the first class, they're already speaking the language basically fluently. And I'm just like why? Like what?
And then after not knowing the language?
No, when you talk to them, they've been enrolled into the same class as us because they don't have like official qualifications, but some of the people could like spend 3 months in like Spain, and so they've built it up, or they might have had some private tutor somewhere, or there's all these like they've come from a whole system within themselves where they've been able to maybe get to certain places and do certain things that you weren't able to do. So I found myself going like, yikes.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. This is not cute, and especially like where my family was very much like the aim was to always be top of the class, and I had maintained that quite consistently during secondary school, primary school, all that. And then here it was like I'm like scurrying through, like it was through the skin of my teeth. But yeah, it's just again like just that comparison element, and just really being narrow-minded and not looking outwards. And the thing is, you don't even know what you're carrying, that other people might be looking at you like, wow, like I wish. Do you know what I mean? Like there's some people, like I was looking at like this, there's some people that I've seen there, they might be like a lot less, let's say, not socially able to kind of, or they haven't been put in places where they're able to connect, to network, to speak to people, because they're not used to speaking to certain types of people, stuff like that. And that might be a skill that I have, or that my friends have. And so we don't know where that could take us. Like you have to be able to like value your own skill sets. There's some things that I really admire in other people, and rather than like seeing it as a point of comparison, or a point of me being like, but why are you good at that? Like did you go out rich and I didn't, and you could do this, and now here I'm struggling, or in this, like, rather than thinking of it like that, it's like, cool, you've done that. There's stuff that I've been blessed with, and like opportunities and life experience I've been blessed with that have helped me, and they might be looking at me like, I wish I could do what she does, or I wish I could speak to people like, you know what I mean, stuff like that. And then just growing and learning from each other, because that's what you also learn. Like, you think you're the only one doing up imposter syndrome or feeling like an outsider, but more times everyone has their own version
element.
Exactly.
Imagine this is a letter to your younger self. How would you tell her to overcome imposter syndrome, or just feeling inadequate?
I'd say don't think of it as a negative thing, because like if you actually just think of the word itself, forget that the syndrome, that sounds negative, but like the word imposter essentially just means like you've literally like invaded a space that you are not supposed to be in. So it's a case of if you are feeling that, to some extent it kind of does signify like that you're starting something new. You're literally like revolutionizing things, or making way for things that have never been done before. The bit that goes wrong and that tends to make us feel bad is this idea that like we aren't supposed to be there. Like imposter always sounds almost like illegal, or like counterfeit, or like fake, or this is not it. So it's more so, I feel like, remove that element of it and identify like the places or the voices that are adding that level of like illegality, or like, nah, this isn't real, this is stingy, this is fake, this is phony, whatever. Get rid of those voices. If it's like friends, if it's institutions, if it's, you know, teachers, schools, even parents, or just even within yourself, like identify and get rid of that. But don't fear the idea of being an imposter.
Literally, I think for me, what I would say to my younger self with this feeling of inadequacy is get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Like, it was in the most uncomfortable times, education wise, life wise, that you actually grow the most. In the middle of it, in the beginning of it, throughout the middle of it, even till the end of it, you're gonna be like, yo, this is ghetto, I hate it here, I want out, I'm done, I'm not trying to do all this. But it is necessary. Discomfort is necessary. It's not optional. Thank you so much for blessing us with your wisdom. Cambridge, Oxford applicants. Omar, this is your girl. This is your girl.
Hi.
Hit her up. Contact her.
Reach out to us.
Yes.
Cambridge ACS. Reach out to us anytime. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We want to hear from you guys. Reach out and connect with Loughborough as well. Like our ACSs, we're all in to do the same thing, to provide platforms to encourage Black people, Black students of the future. So yeah, reach out. But thank you so much. This has been amazing.
Yes. Okay, cool. Thank you. Bye, everybody.